Hello everybody, welcome back to the Reese Talking YouTube channel. Today is Monday the 15th of September, and in this video I'm going to be giving you my extended thoughts on the Uniting the Kingdom rally that took place on the 13th of September 2025. Now I have given a little bit of an insight on my TikTok, you might have seen that already, but in this video I'm going to give a bit more of a detailed explanation, and I also want to talk about this idea of false idols, which I think is very prevalent currently in the political sphere, political landscape. To start off with, I would say that overall this was probably a net positive, and the reason why I say that is because people are no longer apathetic. People are not just sitting around and just pushing the, kicking the can down the road to the next day and pushing along. People are actually getting really annoyed about the state of the country, and they are no longer apathetic. They are willing to leave the house. They are willing to do something about it. Now, obviously, I didn't go, and I told you not to go, and I did say it was going to be a catastrophe, and to be honest with you, it definitely wasn't a catastrophe, and it was went a lot better than I was expecting. Only 9 arrests, or somebody said 25 because of arrests that might have been made after, and there was no riots, there was clashes with the police, but that is kind of to be expected. There was no anything getting set on fire or anything like that. So I would say that generally it was probably a net positive for the reason that people are no longer apathetic. There are so many people in this country, and there still are, and there have been, that have just been completely clueless and numb almost to this idea that we are being dictated to, because they just don't seem to care. They have a good life and they've had their kids and whatever. A lot of the older generation are very much not interested in politics, and when I speak to older people, they tell me, the young generation are so much more into politics than we ever were. And you know what I want to say to them is, that's because we're getting fucked. We're really getting fucked out here. We might not even be able to have kids in this country. We're going to be a minority soon, and this wasn't the case for older generations. And now I feel like for the new generation, it's really starting to set in, and that's why you're seeing so many people that aren't apathetic and they are willing to do something. Some people say that protesting is pointless and irrelevant, and I wouldn't say that it's completely pointless and irrelevant, although I would say that it is a little bit when it's being orchestrated by the deep state, by Tommy Robinson, by Elon Musk, and these globalists. There was global interference from a lot of different places, and people coming from New Zealand, and even the politicians from Poland were there, which was quite wild. You've got people like Katie Hopkins who are deep in the deep state, and therefore it's kind of like a hijacking. This is kind of the main point that I wanted to make about this. There is a positive to this. As I said, the fact that people are no longer apathetic, they do care. However, there is a hijacking of that care and of that feeling that people have, that nationalist spirit, that patriotic spirit. It's been hijacked by the deep state, by Tommy Robinson, by Elon Musk. And this is directly connected to this idea of false idols. It is extremely unfortunate, in my opinion, that people look up to Tommy Robinson and think that he has the best interests of the people at heart, and think that he is the person that you should be following and revering, and that he is the guy who's going to solve your problems. And there's something quite painful about it, because he's actually completely apathetic to the British people. I really just think truly in my heart that he is someone who serves Israel, serves the IDF, serves Mossad, and you have to really think about that when it comes to protests like this. You have to really think about, well, what's his true intention? Well, we haven't seen a false flag. We haven't seen anything major like that. So then, as I say, this is why I'm bringing up this point of false idols. You're getting people to worship Tommy Robinson. The deep state are hijacking this nationalist patriotic movement. It's a similar thing to what's happened in America. You could say the exact same thing. The America First movement in America, the nationalist patriotic movement that has been taking place in America, was hijacked by the deep state in the form of Donald Trump, who is a character who doesn't really care about the Americans, who is there to serve Israel and is, funded by Israel, and does what the Israel donors say, and takes that movement, hijacks it, usurps it, and then uses it for the Israeli benefit. And that's what we're seeing, I believe, with this movement. And I believe that was kind of the main point, I guess you could say, of this movement, was to get people out, get people active, get people patriotic, nationalistic, and get people on the street and get people caring, just for the deep state to hijack that movement and then use it for a sinister purpose. But what might the sinister purpose be? Well, I think it's quite reasonable to say that it is connected to the Greater Israel agenda. It is connected to a Jewish agenda and just a Zionist agenda in general. We saw Elon Musk there, who is aspirationally Jewish, whatever that means. Obviously, Tommy Robinson was the organizer, who is a Zionist, who would fight for the IDF, who has worn a Mossad shirt, who has worn an IDF shirt. There was Katie Hopkins there, who has done media for Israeli publications. So we know for a fact that it does have something to do with Israel, especially when you think about the fact that Tommy Robinson's legal funds to get him, you know, with regard to his case, his contempt of court case, he received funding from the Middle Eastern Forum founded by Daniel Pipes, who is a deep part of the deep state and was connected to American politicians like Donald Trump. And realistically speaking, you have to think about it quite deeply, because obviously Elon Musk is connected to the deep state and AI and the technocracy. And it seems to me that there are two reasons, as I say. Firstly is to usurp the nationalist and patriotic spirit of the British people. And a lot of the people who went there are probably not thinking about this, because I think if they were thinking about it, then they would never have gone there. And secondly, I think that they are trying to cause civil unrest, and then when you get civil unrest, then you will get martial law. We know that Daniel Pipes' main agenda, as well as Tommy Robinson's main agenda, is to demonize Islam, and they want to, you know, take out radical Islam completely, and they see it as a massive danger to American Jews and just Jews in general, because Israel, their land is, you know, their homeland is in the Middle East, and their adversaries are very close to them, and they're not close to us, and they have to do a very good job of convincing us that these people are a big threat to us. And I believe that this is a reason why they made the grooming gang scandal such a big story. So think about it like that. You know, you've got the fact that they are aware of this nationalist movement. They are aware of the right wing becoming more and more radical. They're aware of characters like Nick Fuentes, and they're aware of the amount of people these days, especially the younger generation, who are getting political. The information age, the information generation, which we are, learning about all of these things. We're learning about, you know, Jewish power. We're noticing, right? So be very convenient and helpful for them to hijack that movement with a false idol like Tommy Robinson. And I believe that this is a big part of it. We look at a movement like this, and it's a means of destabilization, it's a means of division, and it's certainly not a means of free speech. It's not like we don't have free speech in this country. I find that to be ludicrous, and I've made videos about it on my TikTok. People talk about there's no free speech in England. You know, I've seen a meme. Oh, how is it living in the UK? Oh, I can't complain, you know. Oh, okay, that's good. No, I mean, I literally can't complain. It's like, well, you can complain, you know. That's what I've been doing since like the start of the year. Free speech, you know. Elon Musk, revere Elon Musk, the guy who was allowed to buy X, the guy who is, you know, trying to put brain chips in people's minds, the guy who wants an AI technocracy, the guy who is pretty much a fraud when you look at how he rose to the top, co-founded PayPal, very much linked to Peter Thiel and these other crazy, you know, antichrist deep state puppets. And so revere the people who are actually fucking you, basically, is what I'm getting at here. And therefore I just find it to be, see, at the start of this video I said it was a net positive, and maybe you could make that argument, but there is a lot of negative here, which is the fact, and just it keeps coming down to the same thing. We are not diagnosing the problem. We are not, you know your enemy. You know, if in war, you need to know your enemy. And if you believe that your enemy is your friend, well then how can you fight him? And this is effectively what they've managed to do here. They've managed to convince the British public that their enemy is actually their friend and their idol. Matter of fact, 2 enemies, Tommy Robinson, 3 enemies, Tommy Robinson, Katie Hopkins, Elon Musk. I'm sure there's more. You got that New Zealand guy preaching about fucking religion. I mean, just absurd. Just didn't mention didn't mention Jewishness, didn't mention a synagogue when he said there shouldn't be any places of religion, didn't mention a synagogue, no. Couldn't do that, no. Not when Tommy Robinson's organising it, no. The last thing that I wanted to say is, like, we believe that our enemy is our friend, and then you believe, and then, you know, you have this completely false idea about your enemy. Everyone's going, you know, Keir Starmer is a wanker. It's like, it hasn't got a thing to do with Keir Starmer. It has not got a thing to do with Keir Starmer. He is just the guy he's the guy who absorbs the hate. That's what they want. That's what they want. They want you to put your hate at Keir Starmer so that you don't put your hatred towards Bill Gates or Larry Fink or Elon Musk or Tommy Robinson or any of these other lunatic billionaires who are the ones really controlling us, the ones who are really enacting Agenda 2030, the Kalergi Plan, the depopulation agenda, all of these crazy things. And so, yeah, now at the end of this video, I'm kind of thinking to myself, maybe it was a net negative. I'm kind of convincing myself away from the fact that it was a net positive, but is what it is. And, you know, I said that maybe it wasn't a catastrophe, but if you are going to revere the incorrect person and you're going to completely misplace your enemy, then how can you fight back? And how can you really deal with the problem? I don't know. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then I would appreciate it if you left a like. And if you do want to see more of me, then hit the subscribe button. That's what it's there for. Anyway, everybody, I will probably have a video out maybe day after tomorrow, and we'll talk about something else. Let me know if there's any specific topics in the comments that you want me to talk about, and I'll get to that for you. But until then, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one.